Good morning to all. Next question we are moving on to the number of chiral carbon present in peptide. So we have given with an tripeptide here, isoleucine, arginine and proline. So I have written an tripeptide already. So that tripeptide already we have seen the peptide bonds have been formed. The amino acids, two amino acids will be bonded to one another or joined to one another through a peptide linkage. So OH from one amino acid and H from another amino acid will be combined together as a H2O group and it will be eliminated. So here in this we need to find out the chiral carbon. So once again it is an JEE 2020 question and it is an it is an integer type question. So no options there. So we shall move on to the question there. So observe properly. So chiral carbon means 4 different groups we should consider. And in our earlier class also we have discussed if it is C double bond O group, and you can observe here if it is C double bond O group, for our convenience sake we can understand in this way. So that is oxygen. So same carbon is bonded to 2 similar groups. So it cannot be an chiral carbon. So likewise we have in this also we can check NH2 we have CH group. Observe. So this side we have NH2, this side we have this entire chain, and one more side we have hydrogen, and this side we have different group. That means that this is an chiral carbon. So we can mark it down. This is our chiral carbon. Next one, CH3 group. That means that already 3 bonds are with similar hydrogens there. So it cannot be chiral carbon. Next, this carbon, one side hydrogen, another side we have this entire thing. One side we have CH2 group and the other side we have hydrogen. That means that it is an chiral carbon. Now, we have C2H5 here. C2H5 can be written as CH2 and CH3. You can observe here the carbon with 2 similar hydrogen here and similar 3 hydrogens here. That means that it cannot be this entire group, that is both the carbon atoms cannot be an chiral carbon. Next one, this one. So we have H, this side one full structure, and this side also we have full entire structure. We have this side we have, that means that it is an chiral carbon. Okay. Now same, 2 hydrogens are similar here. Likewise we have this carbon double bond with nitrogen. So this side we have chain, this side also we have chain, this side we have 2 bonds. That means that it is similar like this. So that is double bond O. Instead of oxygen we have nitrogen there. That means that carbon is bonded from both the sides. It is bonded to nitrogen itself. So that means that it cannot be considered as a chiral carbon. Now next it is proline. This entire structure is proline. So you can observe here nitrogen we have carbon. This carbon, if you check, hydrogen, this side we have nitrogen, this side we have, this is CH2 group. This is CH2 group present. This side we have COOH group, and fourth side we have a hydrogen there. That means that, so this is our chiral carbon. So here it is CH2, here also it is CH2, and here also it is CH2. That means that it is not an chiral carbon. So how many chiral carbons are present? So you can count there. We have 4 chiral carbon atoms present in our compound. So the answer is 4. So we can write the answer as 4 there. So next question, the number of disulfide linkages present in insulin. So it is a theoretical question once again. So the insulin is going to consist of how many disulfide linkages? So that is what the question is. So insulin is composed of 2 peptide chains. So we can write it consists of 2 peptide chains. And we can call them as chain A and chain B. Chain A and chain B. Chain A and B are linked together by 2 disulfide linkages. It is going to link by, so we can write, so chain A, so we can write chain A and chain B are linked together by 2 disulfide linkages. 2 disulfide linkages. That means that our correct answer is 2. I hope it is clear. So chain A consists of 21 amino acids. So it is just for your information. Chain A consists of 21 amino acids. Likewise, chain B consists of 30 amino acids. So these two are linked through 2 peptide bonds or linked through 2 disulfide linkages. I hope it is clear. Next question. So 1.78 gram of an optically active L-amino acid A is treated with NaNO2 HCl at 0 degrees Celsius. 448 centimeter cube of nitrogen was at STP is evolved. A sample of protein has 0.25% of this amino acid by mass. The molar mass of the protein is. So we need to calculate the molar mass of the protein. The question given is, so we have an amino acid, 1.78 gram of amino acid is being treated, then it is going to give rise to an 448 centimeter cube of nitrogen. It is going to evolve a gas of 448 centimeter cube of nitrogen gas is being evolved. So our sample of protein is going to consist of 0.75% of amino acid by mass. So we are going to connect these two things with one another and we are going to calculate the molecular mass of the thing. So at STP, if you consider STP. So at STP, so 1 mole of nitrogen gas is equal to 22,400 centimeter cube. That is what the general thing is. At STP, 1 mole of nitrogen gas means it is 22,400 centimeter cube. So we are going to convert this 448 centimeter cube into moles now. So that means that, so if it is 448 centimeter cube of N2 means how much moles? It is 1 mole this much. Then 448 centimeter cube means, so you should write for cross multiplication in this way. So it is 22,400 centimeter cube means 1 mole. 448 centimeter cube mole means how many moles? Cross multiplication, that becomes 448 divided by 22,400, that is 0.02 mole. So how many moles of N2 is there? So same number of moles of amino acids also will be present. So we can write number of moles of N2 is equals to number of moles of amino acid. How much it is? 0.02 moles it is. I hope it is clear. So the number of moles will be 0.02 it is. Next. So a sample of protein contains how much? It is a sample of protein contains 0.25% of this amino acid by mass. So mass of the protein we can consider as. So one more thing they said. So it is 1.78 optically active L amino acid is also present. So we can write, so the mass of amino acid is equals to mass of amino acid as per the question. It is 1.78 gram. Okay. Next, mass of protein percentage they mentioned, that is 0.25%. We are going to convert that one in terms of grams. So mass of proteins is equals to 1.78 into 100 divided by 0.25. That is equals to 712 gram. We are going to compare that with one another and we are going to calculate this one. The answer is 712 gram. Next, so we got the mass now and we got amino acids. So we can also consider how much amino acid is there, the same number of proteins also. So number of moles of proteins we are going to consider as same as the amino acid. So that is number of moles of protein is equals to 0.02 moles. We got mass and we got moles. So we have a formula number of moles is equals to mass divided by molar mass. That is the formula we have. So number of moles we know, mass we know, molar mass we need to calculate. So molar mass of protein, protein is equals to mass is 712 and number of moles is 0.02. So the answer becomes 35,600 gram per mole. I hope it is clear. So 35,600 gram per mole. So answer is option B. Option B is the correct answer. Observe the things properly. Next question we'll move on to. Which of the following is a basic amino acid? So we have tyrosine, lysine, serine, alanine. So we'll write the tyrosine first. So the tyrosine structure NH2, CH, COOH. We have CH2 group. It is, you can observe the structure properly. It is an ring form, 5-membered ring. Okay, next. So this is our tyrosine we have written. Next is a lysine, NH2. We have CH, COOH, CH2 4 times with that NH2 group. Next is serine, NH2, CH, COOH. We have CH2 and we have OH. That is our serine. Next, we'll write down there alanine. Last is alanine. So we have NH2 group. We have CH, COOH, and it is CH3. Basic amino acid, we need to find it out. Basic amino acid means it should contain more number of NH2 groups. Observe here. So we have NH2 group 1, we have COOH group 1. It gets cancels with one another. What is it? Tyrosine. It gets cancels with one another. Now one more NH group is there. If that lone pair is available, then only it will be considered as a lone pair. If it is available, then only it will be considered as basic in nature. I hope it is clear. So lone pair should be there. Then only H plus can come and attack this one. So if this is the double bond, this is going to shift here. It has lone pair. This nitrogen has lone pair. You can observe 3 bonds. That means that it will consist of 2 lone pairs on it. Okay. Now this double bond is there. It is going to shift towards this side. Now, so here nowhere possibility. So this double bond on, lone pair only should shift this side. Then this double bond is going to shift this side. That means that the delocalization is complete. You can observe the lone pair is involved in the delocalization. So it is not available for H plus to attack, or it is not available for the basic nature. So we can write NH2, it is there, and COOH, it is there. 1, 1. That means that it is neutral. Our tyrosine is neutral. Next. So we'll move on to the lysine. NH2, NH2, it gets cancels. This NH2 group we have, that means that what it is basic in nature. This is our basic one. Next here, it gets cancelled. So serine is once again a neutral. Serine is neutral. Likewise, alanine, 1 NH2, 1 COOH, it gets cancelled. Again, it is a neutral. So the correct answer for this one is lysine. So answer option B. That is the correct one. We are continuing our class with the nucleic acids now. Next topic. So proteins we have completed, and competitive of proteins also we have completed. Nucleic acids. So nucleic acids are very important to be studied. Why it is very, very important is it is one general or common thing to be known. It is there in syllabus. That is one thing. Second thing is what is there. So exactly many times we say that. So every generation of every species is going to resemble. So that is we are going to resemble our parents, or we are going to resemble our grandparents, like that they'll be telling. So why such resemblance is going to happen, or what is the reason for that resemblance? it is based upon the nucleic acids, or it is based upon the cell of the living, nucleus or the living cell, which is going to be responsible for transmission of these characters. So that is what in general we call as the heredity. So every species or every generation of a particular species is going to resemble their ancestors, and that what a characteristic is going to transmit from one generation to another generation. It is based upon the nucleus of the living cell. So what is it? The nucleus of the living cell, which is responsible for this transmission, which is responsible for the transmission of these characteristics, and the transmission of characteristics we call as a heredity. We call that one as a heredity or hereditary effect from one generation to other. The particles present in the nucleus of the cell which are responsible for heredity are called chromosomes. We are going to call, so whatever the heredity is there, so that is the transmission of these characters are nothing but, we said that it is the nucleus of the cell. So nucleus is made up of, the nucleus is made up of, or responsible, heredity is responsible on chromosomes. So we call that one as chromosomes. So chromosomes are made up of, it is made up of proteins. Chromosomes are made up of proteins, and another type of biomolecules called nucleic acid. The other type of biomolecules called nucleic acids. Nucleic acid. So this is what the nucleic acids are, which are responsible for heredity or transmission of one character from one generation to another generation. I hope it is clear. Next. So what are these nucleic acids? We shall see now. So nucleic acids are of two types. We have two types of nucleic acids. So which are those two types? So the first one, we'll write it. First one is deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid. And the second one is ribonucleic acid. Ribonucleic acid. This one, in short, we are familiar with the name as DNA and RNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid. So this is what the nucleic acid types. So we have studied two types of nucleic acids, deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid. Before that, what is this nucleic acid? First we shall study. So the nucleic acids are nothing but, they are biopolymers. So we can write nucleic acids or biopolymers. Biopolymers. When you call biopolymers, bio in the sense it is the living system. Living system. So in the living system, many number of monomeric units are present, which has been joined to one another. So that is the polymer present in the living system is called as biopolymers. I hope it is clear. Polymer present in the living system. What are these polymers made up of, or what are these these can also be called as? These can also be called as polynucleotides. Polynucleotides. This is the general thing. We can say that it is biopolymer. So exactly what it is made up of, it is nothing but it is polynucleotides. That is, many nucleotidic unit is going to join together one another to form an long chain there. Just like our proteins, amino acids are bonded to one another. Each amino acid is going to bond with one another to form an peptide chain. A long chain it is going to form. So like that only here, nucleotides are bonded to one another to form a long chain, and that long chain is nothing but our nucleic acids is. So what first we shall move on to nucleotide. What is this nucleotide made up of? Or what is this nucleotide we shall consider? So nucleotide consists of three parts. It consists of three parts. Which are all those? So that is the first one, that is an sugar molecule. One sugar molecule will be present. Sugar molecule. Along with that, we have a heterocyclic nitrogenous base. Heterocyclic nitrogenous base we have. Along with that, we have a phosphoric acid. Phosphoric acid. So nucleotide is a polynucleotide is nothing but nucleic acid. Nucleotide consists of a sugar molecule, a heterocyclic nitrogenous base, and we have phosphoric acid too. So how they are linked or how they are bonded, we shall see. We have a sugar here, and that sugar is bonded to phosphoric acid and nitrogenous base. So we can write a base molecule is bonded to sugar, along with that a phosphoric acid. We have a phosphoric acid too. So likewise, how we can write a nucleic acid in general, we shall see. So if at all, if we are writing, this is our nucleotide. This is what our nucleotide we have written. Now we are going to write our nucleic acid. Nucleic acid, how it is? A sugar, it is bonded to a base, and a phosphoric acid. Double bond O, OH, and we have O here. Yes, sugar. S is the sugar, B is the base. Like this, each nucleotide is going to bond to one another, and it is going to form an link like this. What is that link and all? What we are going to study. So we just understand sugar, base, and phosphoric acid. With the structures we are going to study. Further, it is being classified again. So that also whatever structure we'll study now. Chemical composition of nucleic acids. Nucleic acids means are of two types, DNA and RNA. So whichever is undergoing a complete hydrolysis, if at all, if it is undergoing an either it is DNA or RNA, if it undergoes a complete hydrolysis, if it is hydrolyzed, then it gives rise to three different compounds. Which are those compounds? We know it is a pentose sugar. Just now we have discussed. It is pentose sugar and heterocyclic nitrogenous base. So we'll write directly nitrogenous base, and we'll mention it is heterocyclic nitrogenous base we have, and we have phosphoric acid. So now we'll move on to the next one. That is first we'll study each part of it. That is pentose sugar we'll study. Sugar. So sugar, when it is considered for DNA, in DNA we have beta D2 deoxyribose. Beta D2 deoxyribose, that is in DNA. In RNA, what it is? In RNA, we have beta D ribose. How it is going to differ, or with what it is going to refer? It is going to differ only with the 2-deoxy. It is going to differ with the only 2-deoxy. So 2-deoxy is the difference there. So we shall see how it is. It is a pentose sugar. So in carbohydrates we have studied pentose structure. So it is oxygen, it will be bonded like this. Fructose structure we have studied like this it is. Okay. Now, so we shall write down. It is OH groups and H groups will be present. We know which carbon is this one. This is our first carbon. This is our second, third, and this is our fourth. We have fifth carbon here, that is CH2OH group. Fifth carbon, pentose. So only 5 carbon atoms it will be present. Pentose sugar. I hope it is clear now. So now the structure, you would go through the structure there, or the name you go through, that is beta, alpha and beta. What is beta stands for? The first carbon OH should be on the left side, then it is beta. If it is on the right side, then it is alpha. If it is on the right side, then it should come down. If it is on the left side, then it should be up. So beta means OH on the first carbon atom, OH on the left side it is. So left side one always it will be above, right side one down it will come. OH is above, then it is H. Then this is 2-deoxy. That is nothing but to the second carbon oxygen is not present. Oxygen is not there means it is both are hydrogens there. I hope it is clear. So beta stands for this one. 2-deoxy is this one. I hope it is clear. Next, third one OH, H, and fourth one C2OH towards this side and OH this side. So this is our beta 2-deoxy D minus ribose. What is L and D? L and D stands for, we know that L and D stands for, so the last chiral carbon, it is OH group. The last chiral carbon, if OH is on the right side, then it is D. If OH is on the left side, then it is L. I hope it is clear. So this is first, second, third, fourth, fifth. This is for general thing I have written. For glucose or general thing I have written. So last chiral carbon, not this carbon. Last chiral carbon, if it is on the OH is on the right side, then it is D. If it is on the left side, then it is L. Likewise, so the first carbon, if OH is on the right side, then it is alpha. If OH is on the left side, then it is beta. Okay, so this is our beta D, beta 2-deoxy D minus. Plus and minus, we don't have any other options or to the structure to be assigned. So plus and minus indicates dextrorotatory and levorotatory. If it is plus, then it is dextrorotatory. If it is minus, then it is levorotatory. That is from the optical activity. That is from the experiment only we should check. So it is not concerned with the structure there. So next we'll write it down. Okay. So what is the next one? Beta D ribose. So here also same thing. It is fifth carbon CH2OH as it is. It is also beta. That means that on the first carbon atom, we'll number the carbon atoms there. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and it is 5. So on the first carbon, beta means OH should be on the left side. So left side means it is above. It is H. Okay. So second one, it is not 2-deoxy. That means that on second we have OH groups present. Third as it is OH groups. So fourth one H and OH. I hope it is clear. So we can write the name of that compound. So it is beta D minus ribose. Both are levorotatory. Both are levorotatory. This is about the sugars. So pentose sugar, these are the structures.